I'm very happy that Saturn is finally in Czech. It's been translated to a number of languages, and sadly it was published here when we had COVID and everything, so it's only now that I could come to Prague and meet my readers. It's a story about Francisco Goya, the famous Spanish painter, and his son and grandson. So there are three monologues of men from one family, and basically this is a book, of course, about an artist or two artists and rivalry between them. But this is also a story, or mainly a story, about patriarchal system and how this patriarchal system is bad for the family, and not only for women, which is pretty obvious, but it's also bad for men because it destroys the relationships between fathers and sons. For a very long time I was planning to write such a book, and then finally I found this story and I thought, okay, this is it. And that's how Saturn was conceived, and well, it's been over 10 years since it was written, so I'm happy that it's now available also in Czech language. To write about art. Well, writing is an art, of course, of a kind, but it's very much different than the visual art. And what is interesting for me is that somehow when you write about art, you are taking elements of different arts, so the art of painting in this case, and you somehow find the counterparts within the language and within the art of literature. So the reader can recognize not only the story, but he or she could recognize also this particular art of a particular artist, and I find it very interesting. I have an experience of being a painter for many years. That was my first art, I would say, and more important for me, and gradually literature took over. But this experience of painting and this experience of very bodily art, because it always is, you know, with the movement of your hand, with movement of your arm, it's completely different than writing. So this experience definitely was very important for me in writing Saturn, but also the way Goya depicted the world, and particularly in his black paintings, late paintings, or his or not his, black paintings. This is something that took over the way I was constructing the sentences. So they are dark, they are sticky, they are unpleasant, they are painful. So I very much tried to render his way of depicting the world in another art. Well, empathy is, I would say, one of the things that makes us humans, and there is a great deal of theories that basically the success of humans as a species is something that we have thanks to empathy, that we have learned that it's actually better for all of us if we start to cooperate, understanding that the other being is also hurt when we hurt him or her, and is also happy when we do something kind to this person. So if we see ourselves in the other, it's basically the very fundament of society. And also I would say literature is extremely important when we talk about empathy, because when you enter the world of a book and we have a protagonist there, and this protagonist is completely different than you. He or she can be a despicable human being, but then if the book is good, if the writer did good job, you see how this completely different human being is doing those terrible, abominable things, but there's a certain emotion behind that which is valid, and even if he's wrong, you can somehow understand this process. Not in a way that you would justify this person, but you understand this process much better. So reading literature allows us to enter completely different people, and most of them are just good people who just want good things just as we do. And it teaches us a lot to accept other choices in the world, to understand that if someone has different point of view, it does not necessarily mean that this person is evil or wants to hurt us. He or she is just different, and this is a great thing for establishing a good society.